To Marshall, Luke, Calvin, Brandon, Estate Attorney in Church of Christ Elder Alan Price, my siblings Claire, Martha, David, and our mother Mary Louise Shook Strain aka Oma. Subject 1, to protect myself from Oma's slander of me to my sons. Subject 2, how Opa spun things around in his own head to make himself morally superior, while scapegoating someone else. This trait is very common in pathological narcissism. I attended A&M from fall 1976 to May 1980. In the fall of 1979 I took a civil engineering course called Cost Estimating, which had no calculus and no abstractness, but pure common sense. I called Opa, described it to him, and asked, "Is this what you do to prepare a bid?" And he said, "Generally, yes." I said, "Well, how do you always get the annual maintenance project called the San Angelo Area Seal Coat, in bidding on it, if it's all about estimating?" And he said, "Because I am low bidder." And I said, "How do you know what Jones Brothers, Odessa, is going to bid on that project?" And he said, exactly these words. I asked them. I estimate there was an average of 3 bidders per job from the 50s to the mid-80s, and to quote Opa, it was friendly. In about 1985, the U.S. government thought it was too friendly and began investigating and attacking/prosecuting many Texas contractors. Some of Opa's friends went to the pen. Some got probated sentences and fines exceeding $1 million, James Strain, Ernest's brother. I never saw or participated in any collusion. When Opa offered to sell me the business in 1987, it was not friendly, and to quote him, "It is not fun anymore." He liked it friendly, and I don't blame him. I did not like the cutthroat competition. In my tenure there were sometimes 18 bidders per job, but most often about 9. In 1985, TXDOT exercised a massive campaign inviting out-of-state bidders to come to Texas, and they came. Every month in Austin at the highway letting, Opa would have private meetings with his friends to ask, 1, who had been called to the grand jury to testify, trying to get them to rat on each other, 2, who was indicted, and 3, who had exercised plea bargains or gone to trial. I was left out of that loop. But it was spooky equals created a fearful heart in me, and in Opa also. I had to decide in my mind and heart if I were called to testify against my dad, would I keep my mouth shut about that question from 1979, and that was a no-brainer. Of course I would keep it shut. I went to one deposition with him when the state of Texas, AG Jim Maddox, started prosecuting him. But they didn't ask me any questions at the deposition. Opa's Austin attorney was Douglas Hearn, Aggie. Opa snuck by unscathed. I wrote his cousin James a kind compassionate letter. His prosecution and plea bargain almost destroyed him. He was a basket case for a long time. James appreciated my kind and compassionate words. All I ever heard Opa say about the prosecution of his cousin James was, "He brought it on himself," and that's all. What Uncle David said to me of Debbie's war against me was, "You made your bed, you can sleep in it." David sounds like Opa. Like Opa, David got all data for his judgments against Carl, from Oma, who seems to consider all women to be victims simply because they are women. Opa saw himself as morally superior and saw James as a scapegoat not deserving of compassion. This is a textbook trait of pathological narcissism. When my adult son Marshall asked Oma why I liquidated the business, and paid everyone off in full, with a bonus, she didn't mention the above. She slandered me saying, because nobody could work for Carl. Which was a lie and thus, slander, by my own mother. Sincerely, Carl S. Strain.